So as you all remember, we had a narrower definition of wisdom, or part of wisdom is affective forecasting, or predicting our emotional responses. And we've done a variety of studies looking at that. I think last time I talked about how past findings about just simple events that happen to us, there's an overestimation. We found a different pattern and a more complex pattern when it comes to benevolent and hurtful behaviors. And those are the kinds of situations, I think, where the forecasts are truly important. How you think you will react emotionally may affect whether you act benevolently or in a hurtful manner. We did one study where we had people do a prisoner's dilemma game, where there's temptations to cooperate or compete. And we found that people who cooperate, or actually were given false feedback that they had cooperated, had felt significantly better than their forecasting counterparts, whereas people who thought they competed felt worse than their forecasting counterparts, which we thought was pretty intriguing. The centerpiece of our study has focused on 105 couples. So we did a bunch of stuff in the lab and online over 6 months. One thing that they did in the lab is we had them in separate rooms and doing different tasks, and we gave them an opportunity to sacrifice for their partner. Specifically, we had 100 really unpleasant images, dead bodies and disgusting things. And we told them the more of these images you rate, the fewer your partner will have to rate. And 1 month before, online, we actually had them, we gave them that scenario embedded in others and had them make predictions. And what we found is that people who sacrificed for their partner felt significantly better than they thought they would. Perhaps the most interesting stuff is we have focused on 20 hurtful behaviors. So we had a list of pretty significant ones, including sexual infidelity, physical aggression, or more minor things like being disrespectful to your partner. We had them make predictions, and then over a period of 6 months, we had them report on those behaviors. In other words, in the last 2 weeks, has this behavior occurred? Did you commit it? Did your partner commit it? Etc. And across those 20 behaviors, we have found an underestimation. So people seem to be making these forecasting errors. And it's interesting, it's for both positive and negative emotions. So they're simply feeling less than they thought they would feel. And that's for both when they're the perpetrator as well as the victim. If I asked you, would you feel worse if you were the victim or the perpetrator? Let's say being disrespectful to your romantic partner. Well, some of you may be surprised by the answer, meaning you made a forecasting error. People actually felt better being the victim. So, for what it's worth. And perhaps especially interesting, at least to Shubnam, Judith, and I'll talk to you later, we had 2 wisdom scales here. And we found that those wisdom scales were pretty good at predicting forecasting accuracy. So wiser people were more accurate in 3 out of 4 situations. They were better at interpersonal forecasting. That's something new that we've done. In other words, how will my behavior affect my partner? Well, people who are wiser were better at predicting how their partner would feel in both the victim and the perpetrator role. Wiser people, measured by these scales, also thought they were more accurate in predicting how they would feel as the perpetrator. However, they were worse. They were more inaccurate than the unwise people when it came to predicting how they themselves would feel in the victim role. Is that a weakness of the scales, or is something else going on where people who are wiser are simply responding differently, maybe even in a wiser manner, but they're simply not predicting that? So we're gonna dig more deeply. We're going to look at we also can look at forgiveness in this very complex data set. We can also look at simply the number of hurtful behaviors. So we're going to be mining this data set for quite some time, but I'm excited about talking to some of you to help me figure out maybe what we have here. Thanks.